everyone, I am Nancy from Living Well After 50. I am a newer channel to YouTube, so if you can hit that like button and subscribe, that would be great. So today I'm here to talk to you about the Mirena IUD and my experience with that. Now, I had the Mirena inserted back in May of 2020 due to being in perimenopause and having excessive menstrual cycles. And with that, I say, did the IUD do its job, which was to lessen my periods? And it did. In the very beginning, I had periods very light, and then throughout, I still had periods, but they were much less. The flow was so super light, which was great. It was amazing. What I started to notice at about, I'd say 4 months in, was hair loss. It was excessive hair loss. When I have a lot of hair. My hair is very thin, but I have a lot of it. And even now it is so, I've lost so much. I had the IUD removed in November, but let's backtrack a little bit. When I had the IUD inserted, you know, a lot of people say it does hurt, which it does, to have it inserted, but it was bearable. You go in, and believe me, I was so afraid to have this inserted because I did watch and did so much research on YouTube about, and just on the internet, about having the IUD inserted. But I think more of my research that I didn't really look at the negatives that can come along with having the IUD inserted. And I think it was just because I was nervous. So moving forward, I go in early May of 2022 and have this inserted. Like I said, it was definitely bearable. It hurts, it pinches, and you know, you're in the GYN, and nothing is comfortable down there when they're doing that, any procedures. So again, 4 months in, I start noticing hair loss, excessive hair loss. I would touch my hair in the morning and I would just pull out so much. It got to the point where I could almost hear the popping of the hairs coming out of my head, and it just made me so nervous. And there was a time where my husband had swept the bathroom floor, and I had noted to him, I said, honey, look at all the hair that is in the toilet from my head. This is just from this morning. And he says, you know, I didn't want to say anything, but I swept the bathroom floor and there was so much of your hair on the floor. So I would get to the point where if I would use my hot rollers, they only come with like 12 hot rollers in the container, and I would never have enough. Now, when I started using them, I had 2 left over. That's how much hair I had lost out of my head. So moving forward in November, I decided, I had originally gone back to the gynecologist, and she had told me, you have a form of alopecia. I would not attribute it to the IUD. I went into my primary care physician for her, just for a physical. And she was very real with me, and she was like, girl, you need to rip that out. She said, the common denominator is your IUD. You haven't changed anything else. You're not doing anything else. Get it out. So I went back, I made an appointment with my gynecologist. I told her I wanted to have it out, and she's very good about, you know, not trying to talk you into keeping anything that you're not comfortable with. So I go in to have it removed. That day was very painful. And it wasn't the actual getting the string and pulling it out that was the painful part. Getting the actual string and finding it. My doctor went in, we were in a regular office, she couldn't find the string, which I had gone like maybe 2 months prior and she was able to see the string. But the string, excuse me, curled up and went up and behind a cyst because they had to move me to an ultrasound room. My doctor had a total of 5 tools. She had already done 4. And at this point, I had made her stop for a moment. I just needed a break. So they put the ultrasound on my stomach so they could see the string. And the doctor had said, look, this is the last tool I'm using. I'm really hurting you. We will take it out in the operating room. So needless to say, she was able to find it, pulled it out. Moving forward, I'm almost 2 months out since we had this removed. And the hair just feels so much stronger. Like you could pull on it, you're not hearing any popping. You have the usual, you're always gonna have hair loss, But let me tell you, God says he counts the hairs on your head, and those were not hairs that were supposed to be falling out. That was from the IUD. Another thing I did have with the IUD insertion was the brain fog, trying to think of things, and I was trying to supplement and trying to use different vitamins to help with the brain fog, but it was very significant. Also, they say that the progesterone that is released in the cervix from the IUD, I don't know if I'm using the correct words, with progesterone or whatever they call it, that's actually in the IUD, they say it stays in the cervix and maybe a minor amount could get into the blood system. I had my FSH levels tested maybe like 2 months prior to having the IUD inserted. Every time I've tested, and I pulled up my records, I was a 4.5, a 5.5. So now I had my FSH levels tested about 4 months in, almost 5 months in, because I had the IUD in for a total of 6 months. But at about 4 months, I had my levels tested, and my FSH level was all the way up to a 50. When you have a 50 FSH level, that pretty much proves that you are in menopause. I knew I was not anywhere near menopause because I was having these significant periods. And so I did talk to the GYN about that, and she just basically said that, you know, your levels can fluctuate, but I've never had it. So I do want to have my levels tested. It's been almost 2 months since I've had it out. I want to have my levels tested maybe in about another month, because I will say that when I had the IUD removed, they had told me you may spot today for the rest of the day and maybe you won't get your period. So I did spot a little bit that day of having it removed. 2 days later, I got my period, and I had my period for 7 days. Now, as of December 8th, I got my period and basically have not gotten rid of it. I had like 1 or 2 days in between, and we have just entered the new year. So I have had my period since. So I would like to have my levels checked again, just to see where I am with that. But I hope this helps. But if you are experiencing hair loss and you cannot figure out where it's coming from, if you have the IUD, it is real. The hair loss is real. And the doctor may not tell you that, or she may give you some other reason as to why you're having this hair loss. But if the common denominator is that you haven't done anything different, chances are it's your IUD. I would definitely have it removed. I would never have this inserted again. I am looking at some different things, which are doing the NovaSure, the ablation, especially now showing, and I'm hoping that I regulate again. But again, since December 8th, I've basically had my period, and we're almost a month out because we are in the new year. But I will keep you updated with that. Again, like my page, subscribe. And again, this is a new channel, and I thank you and I welcome everybody, and I will talk to you soon. Thanks.